All right, shifting focus now to the other big story that the world is hoping to find a solution to, which is the climate talks that are taking place in Baku in Azerbaijan. And till now, no breakthrough has happened at COP29. Remember, time is running out quite literally, both for the conference as well as for the world, to try and find a solution, given the fact that the Global South wants more climate finance and the developed countries are saying we just won't fund it. You got to figure this out on your own. To talk more about this, I've got a big voice, which is the former Minister of Climate, Erik Solheim, speaking to me from Oslo in Norway. And Erik, thanks so much for speaking to NDTV. Let me start by asking you, how optimistic are you that there could be some sort of breakthroughs that may happen? It doesn't look very promising right now.
There is one breakthrough in Baku. It may look technical to people, but it's in fact really significant, and that is the rules on the carbon market, because that will make it possible for airlines, tech companies, medical companies, whoever, to channel money to environment assets. In the case of India, for example, it may bring money to the natural farming of Andhra Pradesh, tree planting in Madhya Pradesh, mangrove restoration in Tamil Nadu, or to the all-out green efforts of the state of Gujarat. All these states, and of course many more, I mean Sri Lanka, Nepal, the rest of the developing world, can benefit from these companies providing money for natural assets. And that money will be more unbureaucratic, easy to assess, than, sorry to say, the very bureaucratic money from the global financial system.
The fact is, Erik, developed and developing nations are not able to see eye to eye. So big breakthroughs look unlikely. How do we resolve this?
Look, this demand is 110% fair. I cannot support it more. And it's most important for the least developed countries. I mean, typically Malawi, Madagascar, Central African Republic. And it is indeed important for climate adaptation. However, for the massive investment in renewables in developing countries, this is not important. I mean, India, Bangladesh, Vietnam, Indonesia, well-functioning developing countries, they can access traditional finance because solar and wind is not cheaper than coal. It's not a cost if you go into solar, you save money. And in the case of India, you become independent of foreign oil. India has no oil. The sun is Indian, the wind is Indian. India shifts from oil to solar. It saves money. And
yes,
it creates a better budget balance because the money will not go to Russia or Saudi Arabia or my nation Norway. It remains in India.
You mentioned India. What do you make of India's demand this year at COP29, which is $1.3 trillion till 2030 to help Global South and least developed countries, come to speed with the climate challenges?
Look, again, this is absolutely fair demand. U.S. emissions per capita up to today are 25 times Indian. And if you compare to, say, Africa, the difference is even bigger. So that's not the issue whether this is fair. I doubt that the money will come. Even if the money comes, it tends to go into global institutions, which are so bureaucratic, with so much red tape, and so slow that it hardly matters. What we see in India now is something very different. I mean, the state of Gujarat has now set a target of 100 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2030. That's a massive aim. It will put Gujarat as the 8th biggest nation in the world in renewables, if it was a separate state. And they are financing that through the market and through traditional ways like the World Bank. And Gujarat is the lead state in India, but you see similar efforts in Andhra Pradesh, in Tamil Nadu, in so many other states. So India is not depending on this money, but some of the very poor nations and some of the adaptation purposes may depend on it.
Do you think that the entire process, this COP process now needs to be reformed, given the fact that every year it's the same story, complete gridlock in negotiations?
I think we should do a lot more to bring into the discussions business leaders and politicians who are out on the ground and understand economics and business development. Look, this is a process where diplomats are leading. They tend to understand finance to a very limited extent. They have never started a solar farm or a windmill or indeed started production of electric cars. They don't really understand this. The real attraction, what's happening in the world now, is the shift of business and the shift of politics, not the shift of diplomacy. Diplomacy can unfortunately be stuck for the next 10 years with hardly any development. But the developments in the real economy matters. 3 years ago in Glasgow, the main quarrel was, shall we phase down or shall we phase out coal? Some Western diplomats and media even blamed India for the climate crisis. I mean, it's completely irresponsible and unacceptable. But the difference between phasing out and phasing down have no significance for any one single individual on planet Earth. What matters is the political economy. And when Prime Minister Modi is launching a scheme for 10 million or 1 crore rooftop solar plants in India, that matters. But the climate talks, so to say, have limited significance.
Unfortunately, that's all we have right now. COP29, a process that is compromised, but probably the best that the world has. Thanks so much, Erik Solheim, for taking out the time and speaking to NDTV.